Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Players NIL podcast. I'm excited about my guest today, a key opinion leader, KOL, something I learned about that in NIL. Myisha Moore, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, in doing my research, which I try to do so that I'm prepared, you have lots of interesting experiences, lots of things related to what we know today as name, image, and likeness, but essentially influencer marketing. But I also like to introduce my guests as people, as humans, as relatable guests to our audience, which is mostly athletes and athletic-minded people. So I always start with the same question, Myisha. It's two words: athletics and sports. Sports is the fandom part, athletics is the participation part. You may or may not have played sports, but clearly you've been in the sports business. So go back to your childhood. How did you get introduced to sports? And did you play any sports? What sports did you participate in?
Yeah. My mom was an educator, so grades were a top priority in my house. And she was sure to let us know that we all were, student athletes with emphasis on student, if you will. My father, he was in real estate. So they both, were really amazing storytellers. And I feel like they use sports as a way to narrate life for my brothers and I, not just like the wins and the losses, but like everything in between, like trust, self-confidence, how to strategize, and faith. I myself, I did play softball and soccer, and my brothers, they played basketball. And one thing I always remember is my dad would say before each game, remember, they put on their pants the same way you do. And that really stuck with me, even to this day, as a mother of two boys and just as a woman in this field.
Yeah, that's great. I love that story. And I say this all the time as a father of five. I think
Wow.
the two greatest things you can give your kids are confidence and opportunity, right? So there's different ways to gain confidence. Could be sports, it could be art, could be science, could be math, could be travel, could be all kinds of experiential things. And the confidence comes from, having accomplished something, maybe going through adversity, the lessons that your parents taught you. So I totally respect that. And shout out to mom and dad that did a great job. So when did you realize that you could take these life experiences, the lessons from your parents, your athletic-minded experiences, and create a career? Was there a moment? Was there a job? Was there a class that you took? When did you say, this is a career that I'm going to chase?
Yeah, so I would say my career in athletics really took off just because I fell in love with the storytelling aspect. Everyone has a unique story to tell. And when, I'm running sports campaigns, that's a big piece of it that we like to pull out, right? And so before I was even in, sports marketing, if you will, or NIL, I was always talking to people who were in the industry and asking them like, I was talking to agents, I was talking to players, I would just, and the questions were always the same of just like, what is it that you love about this job? What would you change? What do you see the pitfalls are? And everyone, without a doubt, would say with a smile, I love the way that I'm able to change these kids' lives. And then they would go on to, really talk about just kind of the gaps that they saw, with the earning opportunities, i.e. NIL, right? And so that is really what got me into wanting to get into kind of just sports marketing overall.
One of your jobs was with Nike, who I think many people would say, along with Apple, maybe some of the best storytellers in the world, right? The commercials, the campaigns, it goes on and on and on. But you did have a stint there with Run with Hart and Kevin Hart. Tell us a little bit about what the concept was, how you brought it to fruition, some of the challenges, some of the things you learned from that campaign.
Yeah, so that campaign was extremely unique. We have Kevin Hart, who's not an athlete, right? So coming, but he had really started something. And so my job initially was just to kind of come in and really work on the app, the Nike Run app, and really kind of drive, I'm heavy into metrics, if you will, but like really kind of just drive downloads, right? And really push forward with that. And so but I had this whole other, we're at Nike, right? Like you said, and we had this whole other thing of like, we know to get people out, right, it's have to be a strong story and usually someone, and at the time it was like we were looking for not just like a traditional runner. So Kevin, he literally tweeted out, come run with me, just like, and we caught the tweet. And from there, it was just the synergy was unreal. And we went on to like, I don't know, 14 markets, went into Europe, and it really caught the attention of the world because of the narrative. He wasn't saying, I am 6'5", I am 200 pounds, I've trained for this. He's saying the Nike slogan, just get out there and do it, just do it. Right. So we were able to really go into the DNA of that and really tap into other people. And the metrics were unbelievable because we saw so many unique users meaning that these are non-traditional people who had ever even heard of the app or even signing up for the app. And we were seeing downloads in every market that we were entering at an enormous rate. So that just kind of catapulted it from there for me, of just like how the story and the action needs to add up, and then they gave him a shoe. Kevin Hart has a Nike shoe.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they say one of the most important things in NIL and therefore storytelling is authenticity, right? And I think, that probably what you're describing there, the reason that it was so successful was Kevin's tweet that started the whole campaign was authentic, right?
Exactly. Authenticity is something that we, really hone in on and really dive. And you'll see, even through my strategy, I have a very robust strategy, but the goal is just to find out the unique details of each player, pull those veins out, and then help them create that, turn that into a brand, right? And that's the way we're able to sell them into NIL deals and really help them to push out what your brand is going to be. And it all has to be authentic, because if it's not, the brands know. They're looking for, hey, do you really use this? How do you use it? They're looking for those golden nuggets, those unique stories that we can sell them in on and say, hey, this is why you want to work with this player. This is why this. And that's why I tell players it's so important to really show yourself off the field. It's not just, it's what you're almost taught to stand out on the field. But how do you translate that and turn that into a brand off the field?
So since July of 2021, college athletes in the United States are able to monetize their name, image, and likeness. We refer to it as NIL for those listening and not sure what that means. I think it's a silly acronym, but that's what we're stuck with right now. It's really about athlete branding, athlete marketing, personal empowerment, entrepreneurial skills. All of that's wrapped into it. So tell us a little bit about how you're addressing the NIL market and the opportunity. What's your message when you talk to a young athlete today about, one, what they should be paying attention to, two, what they should stay away from, and three, how you would tell them to build their brand?
Sure. It's like like I said, through my learnings and talking to like high school and college athletes, and honestly seeing a lot of my family members who played overseas and would come home with a little bit of, money, but nothing else really lined up. So they were forced into like this perpetual cycle to have to like keep going back. I developed a strategy, and this is a strategy that took me years to develop. I want to make no mistake about that. But it really allows us to kind of just like easily tee up, these players for these NIL deals. And what we're doing is we're going through a series of interviews. We're talking to them about their likes and dislikes, their morning routines, the food they eat. But we're going through it all. We're talking to their parents, and we're also really setting them up for what it's like to create something that is going to stick with them, right? Just as they've done their athletic career, but like, how do we take that and then transition that? And so, I like to focus on, if we know that, the financial aspect of it too. So I think there's that big barrier where we're, is education. So a lot of the times what I'm doing is I'm educating either the family representative or, the player themselves on things, terms of like, what does in perpetuity mean, right? So you're seeing that a lot come on your contract. Okay, there's a different cost if you have 6 months of someone using your name and likeness versus in perpetuity forever, right? So, and those are watch outs that I say that I really call out and bring to their attention. Another thing is that instilling kind of like a real curriculum. So it's not just like, it's a real go to market strategy for them. It's like, hey, this is what your brand can look like. This is how you can do your logo. This is what we're thinking that you should align with. This is also the opportunities that we see. Here are the mentors that are good for you. Here are some areas that we want to make sure that you go get as far as financial education, because once you start making this money, we want to ensure that you're funneling it to proper places, because we know, I don't know, 2% of these players are going to go pro, and so we really want to hone in on all of, the rest of them, right, that are not going to go pro and don't have these opportunities. And I've even, gone so far as to like encouraging people like myself in this space to say, how do we get ahead of what we know that, 78% of NFL players and 60% of NBA players have serious financial hardships, by the time I retire. Okay, so we need to take the steps and help them while they're in these younger stages of their life through these NIL deals, understand financial literacy. And NBA, the NBA has a full program that allows these, rookies, when they come in, like they get, linked up with the best financial advisor in the center. How do we do that at the college level, at the high school level? How do we let them know that like a lot of these kids, they're playing sports and that's their only focus, right? But then now that NIL has opened up and we have, they're starting to earn money, we want to teach them. We want to teach them about how to really make sure that this sticks with you, So that's the biggest part of what I'm doing right now, is developing go-to-market strategies, but also making sure that they're set up to have a career after.
Great words of advice there, and I love the curriculum. Tell me about brands today. So my impression is that the Kardashians have changed the world, right? Influencer marketing will never be the same again. And, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. But an influencer today has a great opportunity, because I believe that brands are starting to look at influencers as campaign partners, and specifically athletes, because of their fan engagement. Tell me about those discussions with the brands about what they're looking for, what separates. And it's not just the storytelling. What are the adult responsibility like characteristics? What's the education required? What are the things that they're afraid of? What are the things that they're attracted to when they're looking at young adults, maybe even in high school, that are athletes, that are potential influencer partners? Put your brand cap on and share with my audience, what are the brands saying to each other when the door closes?
Yeah. So let's really get into those, that conversation that we're having behind the curtain, if you will. So, number one, what we're first and foremost looking at is brand safety, right? So what does that mean? What is this person posting on a regular? What are they talking about? We're scrubbing. We are doing, if you are up for a campaign, or if you even make it into that, criteria list, right? Um, we are making sure that you are clean. And what do I mean by that? Profanity. We also, just so people know, we have software that tracks this stuff for us. So, we're very sophisticated in the way that we're looking. So I know people are human. I know these kids are human, but we're tracking even after we reach out to a player and say, okay, we're looking to move forward with you. We've sent you an offer letter. We are actually looking at everything this person is doing all the way up until the launch of the campaign, in case we need to have an out. And, I've had to do it. I've had to make those calls where it's like, hey, something showed up about you in the news, and unfortunately, the brand is going to have to pass on you. So I would just, urge, it's not to scare and say you need to be perfect because we do want you to be yourself and be authentic, but use your common sense. Use your common sense. You know, we live in a day and age where everything is recorded, and you don't have to record it though. You don't have to put your Vegas trip on your Instagram handle. You know, and I just say that, you know, that's the same advice I give my nephew. That's the same, you know, it's like he's 18 and you know, I tell him all the time, enjoy and do it, you know, we want you to be young, we want you to have fun. We know you're going to make mistakes, but you don't have to record it, you know. So
Yeah,
that
no,
is one of the big things.
I get it. I tell kids all the time, I said, never before in the history of the world have you had the opportunity to build a brand so quickly. But
Right.
also in, you know, in reverse, never have you had the opportunity to destroy a brand so quickly. And so
Exactly.
it goes both ways. But, you know, brand is what people think of you, right? That's really what brand means. How do people perceive you? And it's a great opportunity. I happen to believe that NIL is a great platform to teach life skills. So what you're talking about are things that they can apply if they become a real estate agent, an insurance broker, medical sales device, you know, whatever, even if they, you know, they run an independent business, a restaurant or lawn care company. These are the way that people communicate, and the way people perceive products today is through this digital marketing age and through social media. In the first 2 years of NIL, over 70% of NIL deals are based on social media. So I think your
Yes.
guidance is perfect, and your advice is exquisite. Myisha, if people want to find you, if they want to follow you, if they want to contact you, this is your chance to plug all of your contact information. Go for it.
Yeah, so if you're looking for someone that can really help you to build a brand, pull out those golden nuggets, I know you hear the term brand all the time, but what does that mean? What does that mean for you, and how to really make it unique for yourself? Look me up. You know, I'm definitely available. I also can give you the, you know, the download on just what these brands are looking for from a metrics perspective, and also just from a brand safety perspective. I definitely, my handle, my Instagram handle is Oshina underscore, and you can definitely reach out to me via DM, or I think we'll put my email, and so you can reach out to me there too. But yeah, I'm excited about NIL. I love it, and I'm also just open for good conversation.
Cool. Well, you have a warm and motherly feel to you. So I'm sure that your clients love working with you. You seem very caring and very concerned, and that comes through because you're a good storyteller, right? And you're telling a story that's authentic, and that is that you care, right? And so congratulations on that. We wish you nothing but the best of luck with your children and with your career. And I want to thank you for being my guest today on the podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.